and shifting our focus to this big breaking news, which is in connection to the attacks on the Hindus in UK. Over the course of last few weeks, communal fault lines in the UK have been exposed like never before. And Times Now has repeatedly dug out evidence that proves where the fault lies. How targets were marked on the backs of Hindus and their religious symbols, unleashed unprecedented fear. And today, we get you another evidence of horrid hate that was spewed on the Hindu community in Birmingham. Watch carefully. You will not see a single slightest sign of provocation, and yet the unsuspecting temple goers in Durga Bhavan Centre find themselves at the receiving end of unbridled, horrid and frankly disgusting hate rants.
You pissed kid. You dirty pissed kid. This ain't Leicester, you cuz. This is Brampton. Hiding. You dirty pissed kid. Go eat some cow. Hey, you look shook. You look shook. Look at the yo. Hey, you look shook. Hey. Hey, go drink some cow. Hey, what's that beef? Look at that piss drinking. Back, thank you. Back, please, thank you. Back. Move back. We don't use it. We don't want to keep going. You sound sexy when you scream. Look at him helping the piss drinking.
Yes, you heard in the video, piss drinking cow shit. That is the kind of invective Hindus in the UK were subjected to. Let it sink in. Despite being at the receiving end of such venom, there are those who still villainize the victims. Before we move on, listen into the masked mob spewing hate once again.
You pissed kid. You dirty pissed kid. This ain't Leicester, you cuz. This is Brampton. Hiding. You dirty pissed kid. Go eat some cow. Hey, you look shook. You look shook. Look at the yo. Hey, you look shook. Hey.
Unprovoked sloganeering, unprovoked hate rants, that's what the Hindus there were subjected to. Let's open this up and go across to our guests. We have Mithun Vijay Kumar, political analyst, Kapil Dudakia, writer and socio-political analyst, Ahmed Ayaz, a lawyer, and Anirban Banerjee, a political analyst, joining us on the broadcast. Good evening to all of you. Anirban Banerjee, unprovoked attack, unprovoked targeting, while abuses being hurled just because these individuals belong to a particular community, just because they are Hindus.
So what exactly are we discussing today? The failure of the UK police, the success of the hate machinery of the overseas branch of the RSS,
how the victims have been villainized and how the entire onus was put on them.
Okay, the onus was never put on the victims, whoever they are, whether UK citizens, Hindu by religion. The onus was always on the overseas branch of the Sangh Parivar, Parivar that very typically the blueprint is very, very known to all of us back in India, who typically started by provoking, by inciting, by instigating after a simple cricket match. The RSS, the overseas branch of the RSS,
Are
they
they
took
being
over
subjected to this
the
abuse?
same plan. Yeah.
Are those individuals that you're talking about being subjected to abuse, or is the local Hindu community under attack?
First of all, I had said this in multiple occasions that the Hindutva gang that is active in the UK, they will be the reason that the entire Hindu community will be targeted in the future. That is exactly what is happening.
Why aren't the authorities in UK calling out that Hindutva gang? Why aren't they pinning blame on that Hindutva gang? Why aren't they being identified as you're claiming here on this broadcast, on this panel?
The police chief of the Leicester city, in the very beginning when this entire tirade had begun, had directed his fingers towards the Sangh Parivar tacitly.
Did they
not
name
directly
them?
because it's very
Did the
difficult
authorities
to
name them?
directly point anything out.
Did the authorities name them? Did the authorities name anyone?
Very clearly said that the footprints of the Sangh Parivar is visible here.
No, do not
there
mislead.
Has been incitements from
In fact,
people
UK lawmaker Bob Blackman
BJP
sounded
and
an alarm
RSS.
in the parliament over the attack, and he called it Islamist attack. He called out those elements, called them Islamists. Kapil Dudakia is a writer and also a socio-political analyst. He can throw more light perhaps on the so-called Hindutva gang that everybody is talking about, and not talking about the individuals who can be seen on camera being victimized. Kapil Dudakia.
I'm very sorry to actually hear Anirban. He's just lying, making things up as he goes along. This is just discreditable. How on earth can anyone come on live television and just make things up, make lies up? I'll tell you exactly what happened, Anirban, just so that you know for the future. Let me tell you, the police themselves came out and said there is no evidence whatsoever with respect to RSS or any Hindutva. Let me tell you something else. The BBC that made that fatal error came out and then said they made an error, that there was no evidence whatsoever about any Hindutva or any RSS. Let me tell you about The Guardian, the one that was poisonous, that was actually inciting racial hatred. They came out and then said they were wrong as well. You are wrong, sir. You are wrong because you've got no idea. You are peddling lies. You have got your own agenda, and what you want to do is to sow discord. I'm very, very sorry. I know exactly what's going on with ground here. I've got direct connections.
Why would the police suddenly come out and say no?
I just told you.
There was no mark of the RSS. Why would they suddenly name the RSS that there was no RSS? Why? Why would you even bring in the name of the RSS?
You are right, sir.
Of course, there were very clear There were very clear and definite blueprints of how the RSS works in India.
Anirban, let Mr. Dudakia respond.
There is a press statement by the Leicester police. You can go to their website, you can check it for yourself. If you've got any ounce of any credibility whatsoever, go to their website and check it for yourself. I ask every single Indian out there, every single viewer out there, go to the Leicester police station's website.
No, sir, are you an Indian
very, very clearly. They will say very clearly.
And this is not the only video proof that we have. Let's play out another video.
Are you an Indian citizen?
Again from Birmingham. Anirban Banerjee, take a look at these videos before questioning people and their citizenships. Take a look at this video where even young girls were not spared, who were peacefully performing Garba. They were abused. Let's play that video.
These motherfucking Cheros out. I think it's India. On Green Lane Road, opposite Baker Ilm. It's almost like they're probably taking the piss and decided to do it in front of the mosque.
Ebadayaz, I want to come to you. What is the fault of these girls, young girls only celebrating the Hindu festivity Navratra, performing Garba? And look at the kind of humiliation and abuses that are being hurled at them. What is their fault?
See, there's no fault. You see, this Garba has been being done in the past also, and now with the changing of the, government and BJP taking over, you can see that we are leading to almost a Hindu-Muslim divide. Otherwise, there is no reason when it was happening in the past. After all, it's not a direct puja being performed. This garba was being done together in the past also, and there is no reason. And more so, having distributed the pamphlets by someone saying that Muslim is not to be allowed inside, that the ID cards to be checked.
We are talking about the developers that are taking place, Ahmad Ayaz, in UK. We are talking about what's happening in UK. You can very clearly see how Hindus there are being subjected to wild abuses. Ahmad Ayaz, please talk about how these girls were subjected to this.
Coming back to the UK,
that is the topic of discussion. UK is the topic of discussion.
We have already, Right. When we have already said that no religious place need to be attacked, and that we retreat, that there's no reason for anyone to attack any religion place, and if it is done, it is highly condemnable. But the point is, people chanting the slogans that Allahu Akbar does not mean that those will be necessarily the Muslims. It needs to be seen properly as to who is behind it, and maybe a conspiracy. I don't think that Muslims would be doing it. This is what is my personal feeling.
The authorities should investigate before people jump to conclusions. Before people jump to conclusions, calling it Hindutva extremism and blaming the community that has been living there, trying to earn a living for what is happening, before villainizing the victims, give the authorities a chance to investigate, Ahmad Ayaz. I want Mithun Vijay Kumar to respond to this, because earlier we also played out exclusive inputs from UK of how the youth there, young boys, were tagged as RSS terrorists, and they were constantly living in fear, fearing to in fact also step out from their houses, go to their workplaces. And now it's evident Hindus celebrating their culture, their festivities have come under attack in this manner.
Exactly. Swati, see, what happened in Leicester was a pre-planned attack. There were stories being put on Instagram, there were meetings being held, and this came much before the attack, in fact. Now, what you see here, it's all evident from the past few days that the ecosystem of UK is whitewashing all the radical Islamist attacks on Hindus, and they are putting the blame on Hindutva or Modi government or policies of Hindus or something or the other. So, in short, what we see now is what was previously confined to Pakistan, Bangladesh or Afghanistan is now gradually becoming a global phenomena, and Hindus are, Swati, to be very frank, are the modern day Jews, and Hindus are being persecuted in a different way. But the problem here is we can't be like Israel, because we have pseudo-seculars and people like, people like these who take sides and, who start blaming Hindutva and start bringing in all these things. So the problem here is we can't be like Israel. We can't stand with the spirit of nationalism or the spirit of community. We don't have that. We lack it, and that's the biggest danger that we are facing today.
At least what people can do is not villainize individuals who have been subjected to such abuse and such hate rants and sloganeering over there. Stay on with us, gentlemen. Now, despite mounting evidence of how Hindus were the ones persecuted, there are certain publications in the UK that are helping those who are trying to build a narrative that paints Hindus as the perpetrators. And yesterday, Hindus based in the UK were forced to come out to protest this biased coverage.
We are standing here in protest against biased journalism of UK newspapers and media houses like Guardian and BBC. They call us Hindu extremists. Hindus are victims of terrorism. Hindus are victims of attacks.
Jai Shri Krishna, Namaste. I'm here at the Guardian offices protesting because they've been so anti-Hindu, it's been unfair. They're not neutral, they're very biased in their reporting. Hindus are a very peaceful community and they're constantly being oppressed, but they're being demonized and wrongly portrayed in the Guardian. The editor is responsible for causing division, hate and violence and must be accountable.
They tell us here we are demons, we are neo-Nazis, we are fascists, we are none of those. We are peaceful people, we are contributors to the British economy, we are not criminals. You can tally the prison statistics in UK. We have the least number of people in the prison and the highest number of taxpayers. We have assimilated well.
I'm appealing all the Hindus, all the Indians, to stop subscribing Guardian, stop buying Guardian. No Guardian today onwards, no Guardian.
That's causing communal riots. Guardian is causing communal tensions.
The reason we are protesting here today is the false narrative Guardian is using towards the Hindu community. Guardian covered during Prime Minister Modi's visit, calling us the Hindu Taliban, and I take a very serious offense of calling me a Taliban, because I do not look like a Taliban and I'm not a Taliban.
As a last resort, Hindus in the UK are protesting on the streets, writing to MPs, hoping they will be heard, and in some quarters their pleas are resonating. UK MP Theresa Villiers became the second parliamentarian to raise Hindus' plight in the parliament.
We have an urgent debate on Hindu-phobic hate crime. Recent days have seen a number of appalling acts of intimidation and harassment directed against the Hindu community, including a violent mob targeting a temple and tearing down a flag with spiritual significance. And I think it is important that these disgraceful episodes are discussed by this Parliament.
Parliamentarians clearly see the design and the agenda behind these attacks. Unfortunately, many here in India have contributed in villainizing the victims. A quick break with that, thanking all the guests for joining us on the broadcast.